Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight. Got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet. Cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Glad you're here. We are excited to talk to you today. Man, it's been we were talking off air just a little bit ago about some exciting things that are kind of in the works that I couldn't say publicly, but out of that conversation came sort of a venting conversation. And so well, like Danny said earlier, like before we got on, like this is the perfect platform to have this conversation.
Yeah. This is where we vent. This is where we vent. This is what we do. Because again, and I said it a moment ago, but just for everyone else that's listening now, this is the place where a lot of people go to listen to the issues that at-home dads face and also fathers face just in general. And when you get upset or I get upset or we see something that bothers us, we need to talk about it. And we need to talk about it publicly because that's how we make change.
Yep,
So
definitely. And that's
I want to hear it. Again, I even heard it once. I want to hear it again.
So what I was talking about was a couple days ago, I was driving my kids to school. We listened to the radio station K-Love, which is a Christian radio station, and they have a couple of people that are on there talking, DJs, and they're great. Like, always have enjoyed them. They have great conversations during the morning. Like the kids enjoy listening to them. They really enjoy Friday mornings because they have Happy Dance Friday, where people call in and they tell their like thing that they're most happy about, and then they play this song where it's like Happy Dance, and like the kids are like dancing in the car. It's really fun. But they so what they were talking about was, what is it that people's moms have instilled in them within like their faith and like their growing up and different sides of that. And it was mom, mom, mom. And I get it. Like mom has been the center on this, and for whatever reason, like to be able to shift and even see that dads are actually involved in kids' lives is one thing. But what frustrated me most was the fact of like, it's 2024, folks. The word mom and dad, like, great, we're here, we are part of the family, but mom and dad is also not just mom and dad. It's mom and dad, like all these different things, single mom, single dad, all that stuff. And it's like, can we just unify the word parent? Like let's just do it. You know, bust through that wall. It's okay. It's not going to hurt you to say it, and it was just driving me nuts. Like, and it was
Right.
all internal. Like, it wasn't anything that I could say to my kids. Like, the whole time I'm driving, I'm like, just heavy breathing with a grumble. And I'm just like, it's like, this is the only thing I can do because one, my kids aren't going to pick it up because they're in the back seats and they can't really hear me, doing that. But at the same time, like my hamster in my wheel started running full speed. And I'm like, okay, what what can be done? What can we do? And I'm like, all right, well, one thing is this, we started it, which is this podcast
Mm-hmm.
in our webinar series. Like those two things are huge for being able to show just the importance of dads and
Fathers, yeah.
how we're as much a part of this conversation as moms are, making it that it's parents. And when we come on the
Mm-hmm.
show, yes, like this is home dad chat. This is for typically talking to at home dads. However, like this is talking to at home parents. Like I talk to moms all the time that are at home, and when I bring up the fact that we have this podcast, they're like, "Oh, wow, that's really interesting. Like I would listen to that." And a lot of them actually have, like, our viewership for women has gone up. I think we're at like 8% or 10% or something like that. I mean, it's,
Mm-hmm.
the analytics on it show that there are women who are listening to this show, which I'm super happy about. And I thank you so much for for listening to
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Because
Glad you get it.
yeah, because it just it gives us the motivation and drive to be like, oh, like there are others outside of the at-home dad net, confines that want to hear what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like kind of stewing in it all day, and I'm like, this is like, what do I do? And I had come home and I was like going down this huge rabbit hole of, okay, what organizations can we get in contact with? How can I do these things? Like, and people have been doing stuff like that for years, where they're trying to like connect different people together and do different things. My thing was, I was like, all right, like, what dad conventions are out there that the National At Home Dad Network needs to get connected with and show up and just have a table and be like, hey, we're here, like, and that's and put kind of like the effort into showing up to these places versus like just, hey, we're here on the internet, find us kind of deal. And so looking at that, I was looking at how do we get connected to these other groups that are online. And through all of that too, I was like, all right, how do we also get moms into this? So a couple things happened, which has really been interesting this week, because the other day I got a text message from one of the moms from my school who I was talking with about the podcast. And she was telling me about how she is working on starting up a podcast with her and her kids about like trivia. And they were going to do like a trivia show, which I think is a really fun concept. Like they were
Yeah.
talking about like they would ask the questions and they'd have a little like do 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 like Jeopardy or some sort of style of music in between, and then they would tell
Yes.
you the answers. They give you time like to discuss things with
Mm-hmm.
your kids or whatever while you're doing it. I love that. Like, such a really cool concept to do. And so we were chatting about it, and I was giving her insight, after doing podcasting for, gosh, 7 years now. Which is crazy to look back on. But I ended up getting a text message from her, and she is getting me in contact with some folks to talk about uh, some different things that have to do with connecting dads to moms and marketing. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, the biggest thing was like, oh yeah, like they realized that they're not marketing to dads. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, exactly. Like it's one thing to market to moms, it's another thing to market to dads. And then also too, to bring it all together and just be like, we're marketing to parents. But you have
Mm-hmm.
to be able to show those images, like
Yes.
that's the thing. And so that the verbiage in that. So that was taking place at the same time that was taking place. For whatever reason was going on, all these local moms started sharing the Cincinnati dads group with like their moms groups. So like
Cool.
I ended up getting like 20 requests to join the dads group yesterday. I've never seen an influx like this before in my life. Like, so all these guys are coming, hey, like, we just moved to the area. I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to meet other dads. I saw that there's mom groups. I actually searched there's dads groups. Like I, wanted to get involved. Or, hey, my wife is in this mom's group and they were talking about, your group. And so I wanted to come and be a part of this. And there were a few people who were like, I had moms who were like, hey, listen, my father, my kids, they don't, or he's not on social media. Like, I just want to join the group. And with those, I'm like, hey, listen, really appreciate you reaching out. I have a Discord server that here's a link. He can join that instead. Oh, that's so
Mm-hmm.
great. I'm so glad. I'll make sure to pass that on to him. So like all those different things were taking place. And that's the reason for the Discord server with us too, is that there are dads who just are like, I'm done with Facebook. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to be part of it. And so this is a way to do it. So all those things were stacking up. And I'm just like, like, to me, like, in my faith, I'm like, all right, like, this is like a primordial like cry for like just, I want to be able to do this thing on a more like upscale level of stuff. How do I do it? And just, I just felt like it was just one of those things where it was like all of a sudden, like, for me, like, God just like opened up all these doors to different things. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, all right, this is a lot. It's coming in like a fire truck hose type of deal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it's what I asked for. It's exactly what I asked for was,
Mm-hmm.
how do I do this? Whoosh, here it is. And I think that a lot of times we come into contact with dads, especially at the convention, who are asking that question every year. How do I how do I get the dads group started? How do I get even like
Yeah.
connected with other dads in the group. And, I think we were talking about it earlier. Like, you just got to not be quiet about it. And you got to be able to just put yourself out there and
Yeah.
be excited about it.
And I think too, it comes down to community, and community is probably my word of the year for 2024. It was a big part of my vision statement to become vice president for the board, and that the difference between our organization and so many other organizations is that this is a community. This is a place where we accept you like you are, as long as you're an inclusive person,
Yeah.
and you identify as a dad. This is your spot. We let work from home dads. We've got a ton of dads that work from home. We have dads of all age brackets. We have dads from pretty much every spectrum you can imagine. There's at least one or two dads in our organization do that. And the idea of it comes back to acceptance and community. I need to go somewhere where I just can vent, as an
Yeah.
example, or I need to go somewhere that I can get advice. I need to go somewhere that I can laugh, that I can find, sports, other people that are into sports like I am, maybe different teams, because we can't guarantee any specific team, but that there's going to be people there that are going to have that conversation with you, and that are going to do it respectfully and kindly.
Yeah.
And we talk about a lot of times, one of our phrases on the show is every dad, every man needs a mentor and a men's group.
Yeah.
And we really fit both of those. We offer both of those to people. And I think the recognition, like you said, people go to, how do I get this started? And I think we've had a how to start your own men's group breakout
Almost every year.
almost every year. Yeah, I mean, it's just a constant thing, because
Yep.
it's such a needed, it's not needed, it's such a necessary part of who we are. And especially because as we, past your 20s, it's really hard to make new friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to find people that get you, and how your life changes more and more and more, and you get farther and farther away from friends,
Yeah.
so that you have to find that. And I love that we offer that. I love that we give that. But also, the fact is that the podcast is a community. The Discord channel is a community. Facebook is a community. The website actually is a community. And it's all different facets of what it means to be, for us, an at home dad, but also an at home parent.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, a lot of our advice is dad centric. It has to be. That's all we know. I can't give you mom advice. I don't know anything about that. But that we've changed the role of what it means to be a father.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and two, so you're talking about, after a certain age, like, it does get difficult to connect and make new friendships and things like that. And I felt like Monday night in the dad lounge was a very like very tangible uh situation that had taken place with the dad, where he's having this, like, he's gone through some different things in his life, and he's had trouble just kind of keeping friends or keeping quality friends. And I think that we all have that issue. And he was set up to go have an evening out and enjoy a band, and he was gonna have somebody with him, and it all fell apart. And a bunch of other things happened throughout the day, and so, like, his anxiety and just different emotions really were just coming at him. And he jumped on the dad lounge,
Mm-hmm.
and he said to us, I came in here because I'm frustrated. I just want to connect with guys that I, have built up a relationship with, and I just felt safe to be in here. And, like, we were like, dude, let it out. Just what's going on? And so he went on a huge, long, like, just conversation telling us what was going on. And we all just sat there and listened. There were about six of us in the lounge at that time. It was early on. And it was just one of those deals where it was like, all right, man, like, don't let it sit rent free in your head. And he was like, that's the reason. He's like, if I hadn't have got on here, I had just sat on my couch and just stewed and let it just, like, pound at me the entire evening. And I'm like, yeah, that's not healthy. So,
Mm-hmm.
but just having that is, that community, like you were saying,
Yeah.
is so important. And I see that on a local level here. Like we've had guys who are like, oh, like I just need to talk in Discord, and it's so funny because they're like, this is the first time that they've ever like spoken up, you know?
Hmm.
It's like that kind of like crack the door open, like anybody in here? Like, and of course,
Yeah.
those of us who watch the Discord close enough that are on there regularly, we were like, hey, what's up? What's going on? Like, this is a safe
Hmm.
space. And we're like, if you've got something, just talk about it and people will connect with you. And so that's starting to grow here locally as well.
Yeah.
And it's awesome because that's what I need. That's what I want. That's the whole one of the whole reasons that I built the dads group here in town was because we don't get dads. We try to lone wolf it all the time and it just doesn't
Hmm.
work. Like all you're gonna do is bite at your
Yeah.
foot the entire time.
We're taught to do that, to be,
Yeah.
and it is great to be self-sufficient. It really is, but you can't maintain that. There's an old quote that's, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others.
Yeah.
And the premise of that is, yeah, if I need to go to the grocery store, I need to not take my kids. Okay. I need to be there and back. And I'll be back in 12 minutes. Okay.
Right.
But if I have to take my kids, it's going to take an hour. But the reality of it is, especially when you're talking about community and fatherhood, you need a group. If you want to go far, and I guarantee you, to anyone listening, you want to go far.
Yeah.
Going fast is great, but you want to go far. This is a lifetime commitment. This is who you are. You are now, once you have kids, you are now a memory. That's your full purpose, is to be a memory for your children. And that's a really hard concept to get your head around. You need to maintain your own identity and all that. But the reality of it is you have a lifelong thing that you're doing. You're going to be a parent for all of your life. And then you'll
Hmm.
probably be a grandparent and even a great grandparent. And the reality is who you are in that core is not going to change. You're still Brock and I'm still Danny. But how we're framed and how we're looked at and how we're remembered, right, comes down to the longevity of it all.
Yep.
So having that community, having people to lean on, having people to stand up with, and in fact, having people to support is a big part of being a parent, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. And that's
Being the one that does open that door. Go
yeah.
ahead.
No, you're fine. Yeah, that's the whole kind of thing that's been going on and I just see it as this avenue for hopefully climbing over that wall and breaking it down to
Hmm.
where there is just more freedom to you know meet other guys, to get friendships in the most unlikely maybe of circumstances sometimes too. You just never know. um, but at the same time too, to also bring awareness to the fact that there are more dads now than probably there ever have been in the past 50 years who are super involved with their families, with their kids. And it's
Yes.
not, and they're not looking for accolades. They're not looking for like, oh, you're such a great dad. Like nobody wants that. Nobody does that to moms ever.
Right.
Like
Right.
you're a parent. Like that's the point,
You're just doing your
so no
job.
one has to point that out in any shape or form, whatever. Like yes, is it cool to see a parent do something really fun with their kids or whatever? Like totally. Yeah. Like either side.
Hmm.
It doesn't
Right.
matter. Doesn't matter who it is. It's like, oh, that's really neat that like that parent got to have that experience with their kid. Like
Hmm.
I love it when I see videos of uh kids who are like oh, there's one guy he always like he'll find some random person and ask him like a very like ask the kid like a very basic question about, hey, um would you like $20 or would you like me to, you know, keep it, double it, and pass it on to the next person? And with kids, when they say, oh, you can keep it and give it to the next person. And he's like, why? He's like, asking him like, why would you want me to do that? And they just give this very heartfelt answer. Or there's a kid that was saving money up. He was selling like lemonade or whatever. And the guy was like, can I buy a cup of lemonade? How much is it? And he's like, it's 25 cents. He's like, how much would it be for the whole pitcher? And he's like, I don't know, like $20 or something like that. And the guy's like, how about if I give you $2,000?
Mm.
And the kid's like, what? And he's like, and hey, he's like, I see your shirt. He's like, are you an NBA fan? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, what if I gave you tickets to go to the game tonight? Have you ever been to an NBA game before? And he's like, no. And then like, you know, the parents have no idea. And then like the
Right.
mom,
Yeah.
and then it shows like the parents, and they'll be like, hey, like I've got tickets for you guys. You're gonna get to come down. You're gonna have courtside seats. You're gonna get to meet the players. Like I've got all this stuff lined up or whatever. And so just to see like the kids and the parents get to have like that moment. And
Hmm.
there's no mention of like, oh, this was because like this was such a great mom or this was such a great dad. Like, no, these parents get to have this amazing moment with these kids. And I'm
Yeah, with
just like,
no discrimination, for lack of a better word.
right,
No,
exactly.
and
And
it comes. Sorry, go ahead.
no, it's okay. I was just gonna say it just is a very beautiful thing that comes about it. What are you gonna say?
Absolutely. Well, and taking it back to hearing that on the radio like you did about what great things did your mom do. Now there is a time and a place for moms, there's a time and a place for dads, and I absolutely respect both of those.
Sure.
But like you said, it's not, this wasn't a Mother's Day thing. This was a just a conversation that they're having. And think about the things that your moms did for you. Okay, great. Yeah, my mom did a lot of stuff for me. My dad did a lot of stuff for me. Yeah, maybe not my dad, but in general. But if we look at my kids, and they ask them, what's the thing your mom cooked, let's say, or what was your mom's favorite saying, or it's going to be a completely different story for them than it would for people, say, a generation or two generations ago,
Right.
because for them it's all dad. I mean, they love their mom as I do, but they're I'm doing all the cognitive labor. I'm taking them everywhere. I'm scheduling everything. I'm in their face 24 hours a day. But the question came up earlier is based around the desire to want to change that,
Yeah.
to make that more universal, to say parent instead of mom or dad,
Yep.
or to recognize that dads are very valuable. And you mentioned, wanting to get into that work or wanting to do that. And, what can we do to change that? And I pointed out, and I want to point it out again, that's why I've said this, is that we're doing that.
Yeah.
We've been doing that. Both you and I personally, most of our listeners probably who are at home dads, and of course the organization, the other organizations, Fathering Together, City Dad Groups, Father's Eve, all of these other big organizations that are out there changing what it means to be a dad, what it means to be a father. There's a lot of work to do,
Yeah.
obviously. You
Fatherhood
know,
fatherhood.org is another big one.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
the fatherhood initiatives that are taking place in different
Hmm.
you know,
Local, like state run fatherhood organizations too are huge.
yeah,
And there's a lot going on, and there needs to be a lot more, obviously. We're working on it on a daily basis, but I brought it up too because I wanted to not only point out that we're doing it and that we're going to continue doing it, but that the reason most of this conversation came up was because we're talking about it.
right.
We're making a point of saying, dads too. It's we're parents. Can we just say parents instead of mom? Like, is there a class mom at your school? Is your kid's grade?
Yeah.
There are in mine. You have a class mom, do you? Do you have a class dad? Is this a place where I'm welcome? And it's a very interesting dynamic because for many, many years, this is what women have been facing in so many other ways, so many exclusive clubs they weren't allowed to go into. But having that ability to change it comes from each individual.
Yep.
And I want to encourage anybody listening to challenge themselves, to look at what they say, look at the words that they use, and look at how boisterous they are, how much they voice those opinions, and how well, because it is a change that is already in place, and it's growing every day. We look at, I mean, companies like P&G, Unilever, and even Kimberly Clark, all the big diaper companies
Yeah.
have changed their ads.
Mm-hmm.
You see dads cleaning the kitchen or doing the dishes or changing diapers,
Yeah.
and not in the bungling, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, granted, changing the diaper can be very daunting. It can be disgusting. Babies are gross, but you love them and you get around, get away, get around it, right?
Yeah.
But having that idea that a father is just as valuable and is just as necessary for the growth of their family and their children
Yeah.
is 100% our message, and also something that we're seeing even major corporations making changes to lean into that reality.
Yep.
And the local company that you might be talking with, and I'm not gonna, reveal too much, but the fact is that they recognize, like you said, they haven't been marketing to dads, and they don't know why. They don't recognize, well, we just haven't, we just don't.
Well, a lot
Okay.
of times too, it comes down
Time.
to the marketing teams are young people that they're not
Mhm.
like they're also the ones that have to be sort of like spoken to and be like, yes, your mom was probably very active in your life, and that's great. But what, turn the page here and look and see, like, how did your dad, if you had an involved dad, like if you had a
Mhm.
dad in your life, like how did they, contribute? What did they do? That kind of thing. And because that's the one thing, like, I hate talking in past tense about this event, but Dad 2.0, the Dad 2.0 Summit was notorious for that. Like you got contact with these marketing teams, and it was so funny because like here are all these dads, most of us in our 30s and 40s that are here trying to, you know, podcast, blog, vlog, like all that stuff. And we come into contact with these 20-year-olds who, one, we're not cool. They, they're all on like the cutting edge of all these things. But at the same time, too, it's like getting them to understand that parenthood is more than just one side. Like there's, other facets to it. And so that's a big reason for a lot of these companies. So like when someone who is closer to your age who has contact with somebody can say like, "Hey, like have you looked into this?" It just kind of helps bring that on to the next thing. And that's the thing too with Dad 2.0. It was great at getting you in contact with companies that wanted to figure out how to work with dads. And
Mhm.
that's one of the things I also want to see this organization do is be able to get that contact. I think that it's very possible to make that happen. And it's all a grind. I mean, it all really is. Like that's what it comes down to. And so,
Yeah.
I think we're making great strides in that. So I'm excited to see as we push forward, like what comes into that, because I feel like we are getting more and more out there for people to be able to see. Um,
Oh, I agree.
you had made a point. You mentioned the fact that, as fathers, like, one of our main things is memories. Like, and you were talking
Mhm.
about how we, you know, we're at the point where it's like it's all about like making memories with your kids, and also too like
Mhm.
raising them and teaching them how to like become like good adults, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Right.
So my wife and kids and I were sitting in the living room last night, and the kids were like, "When do we get to come on the podcast?" And so I was like,
I think that's awesome.
"What do you guys want to do? Like, we need a topic or something like that." And so we're sitting there talking with them, and they were coming up with stuff that really wasn't like a topic. It was more of um, just a question of something, but I didn't seem like it was going to go very far when we were talking about it. So Corey was like, "Well, what if it was something where you had a list of questions that you asked uh about like kids. So like here's what it would be. This is like interviewing kids. So it could either be kids interviewing kids, or if dads who maybe they don't feel comfortable having their kids like either voices on or even pictures on, which is totally fine, and
Mhm.
understand like wanting to, keep your kids safe in that fashion. We would come up with some different ways to be able to do it. But basically, like they had all these great questions. Like I have a list of questions. I was sitting there with
Yeah.
my computer just like typing out like all of the different questions, like what's it like growing up with an at-home dad? What do you like doing with your dad? What don't you like doing with your dad?
Mhm.
Tell me, what's your favorite memory? What's your favorite place to go? Does your dad have a catchphrase? What's your
Oh
dad's
no.
catchphrase?
No, we can't do that one. No, we can't do that one.
What
My
cartoon? What?
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, I
I
said,
was just saying my 14-year-old is convinced that I always say, are you picking up what I'm putting down? And I have never, I mean, I can't say never, but I don't say that. I've never, I don't. And every time he brings it up, and I tell you, the first time my brother came over after he moved up here, he's talking to him and he looks at James and he goes, you picking up what I'm putting down? And I'm like, dude, no, don't say that. And he's like, what, man? What is it? Just like people say it all. I'm like, oh my word. Yeah. So I want to get that conversation. I
I
know
know,
what'll, anyway,
but
sorry,
but
didn't mean to
no,
interrupt
you're fine.
what I
But
do.
like things like, which cartoon character does your dad most resemble?
Ooh.
What
Oh
TV
no.
what
Homer Simpson. I don't want to hear
no,
that.
no, no. Most kids probably don't watch the Simpsons as much these days, I would imagine. Um,
Nope.
what TV shows or movies, sporting events do you like watching with your dad? Um, what do you and your dad have in common? I said DNA. It-
Nice.
and then I was rebuked by my wife because she was like, "Oh, really?" Because all kids, dads come, they come from me. I'm like, "Okay, fine, I get it. Sorry."
Shared DNA.
Well, foster dad, foster
Oh
kids,
yeah. Yeah. I
adopted kids,
stepped
like
into
that.
that one, didn't I? Yeah.
Nope, I did too. So that's why I'm saying like she came at me hard on it. She's like, wait a minute, like we have friends who have, foster kids and they've adopted them. I'm like, oh, yep, no problem, got that one.
My
Um,
bad.
my daughter's favorite one that she came up with, they had two at the end. They were like one each, one more, okay. And so my daughter was like, what do you like your dad to read to you? 'Cause I like she loves it when I read books to her. Um,
Yeah.
and then for my son, it was, "What's your dad's favorite animal?"
Hmm.
Which makes sense. He's like on his track
That's
to being a zoologist.
and right, and it's such an excellent question for a kid.
Yeah.
There's a meme that goes around that one of the worst parts about being an adult is nobody asks me what my favorite dinosaur is anymore.
Oh,
You
that's
know,
another good one.
right?
Yeah.
And it's like you're right. No one ever asked me what my favorite come on. Or when you buy new shoes, no one asks you if they're really fast.
Oh.
How fast are you shooting? Like really fast. Because every time I got a new pair of shoes as a kid, I was like, look how fast they are. No, they're not any faster, but it's a part of that, who you are as a kid. I still do it. Every time I put on my goofy orange and blue running shoes, well, they're really walking shoes. They don't run anywhere. But when I put them on, I'm like, yeah, I'm super fast. It just, yeah, those are great questions. I love it. And I knew that something was coming. That I didn't know what it was going to be. And I have to tell you, I'm much, much happier than I thought I would be. And I thought this will be great. This will be fun. We'll see what it is. No, this is delightful. I want you to tell your kids this is a great idea.
I will
And
tell
I
them.
love it that they came up with this. This is just beautiful.
It sounds like, from what I was picking up after talking with them about this, is that they want to be like the interviewers, like talking
Sure.
to the kids. And I was like, it'd be kind of fun to get like a group of dads like in this Zoom call that we do for podcasting.
Mhm.
And the dads are there, they're just sitting in the background, like they're just there as like super, supervisor or whatever. But like the kids are the ones who are going to hear this and answer the questions, and we'd work kind of like an around the horn kind of deal on it. So
Yeah. Raise your
um
hand, kind of.
yeah, so I'm gonna work on that because I think it would be a really fun summer series. Like that's when they were talking about wanting to do it. um and even too, if it was something where maybe we do it in like sessions kind of
Hmm.
thing, and I can splice it all together. But we have so many different dads who listen to the show, and sometimes they're actually listening with their kids like in the background, so it's always interesting. But I think that giving them the opportunity to be able to participate would just be another fun element for an episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And
Yeah.
I want to say we need to have one episode that we don't really record where the kids just to get to sit around and be goofy together, because that is going to be the moment where they go, "Oh, there's other kids," and they're just going to go loopy.
Yeah.
Uh, because so yeah, but I think that's a great idea. I would love to see us. I don't know how we'd work that out. There's a lot of logistics with getting other dads on it, but absolutely, we should get that started now because summer's
It's
right around
coming
the
around.
corner.
I know. Well, we'll definitely. I'll definitely be working on it because it does take
Cool,
some time.
cool.
And two, if you're listening to this and you ask your kids if they want to participate in it, and if you're cool with it, like let us know because I can put you on the list, and that way, that makes my job easier than trying to go out and hunt everybody down. So if you want to be a part of it, let us know and I'll
Might
put you
have
on
to
the list.
record on Saturday,
That's fine. We can do it. We
because
can.
people that have kids, well, no, it'll be summer. Never mind. Nope.
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
Just
Yeah.
edit all that out. Don't let me look like a complete idiot. Oh, wait,
It's
that's my job.
all good. It's all good. Hey, so I have my web browser up here beside me. I'm looking at things. Uh, we just rolled past 100. We're at 189 days till Home Dad Con now. It was 190 in like 21 minutes while we were like recording. I'm like, oh, it's now 189 days. Like, it's exciting.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Yes, it is. It's
yeah.
time to I don't have my my desktop timer up, but I'm gonna have a timer on my phone and my
It
desktop just to be there, because this is gonna be a big one. And I say that every year, but this is gonna be huge. We've got
is going to be a big
so
one.
many good things going on. I mean, the extracurricular activities are going already popping, and the brewery hop and the kayaking caving trip,
Yeah,
just those alone. Yeah. If you haven't
definitely.
gotten your ticket, buy your ticket. Seriously.
Yep.
And you better have gotten your hotel room already.
Oh, they're going quick. They're so going quick. And two,
You're
I see where there's
down.
only like 82 tickets left right now for registration purposes. I'm looking up here. It says tickets remaining
Hmm.
82. So those are going quick as well.
Yep.
And if you're listening to this and you've never come to the convention before, a couple things. Like one, like your ticket includes 3 meals. Okay. Um, Conventions don't typically add factor that in. Like
No,
you're not gonna go to a Comic Con and get that. Like
no.
so that's one thing that's awesome. You're also gonna get a t-shirt that's gonna be just for the convention. We've had some amazing designs in the past. Last year, like basically like was a alternate rendition of the Pabst Blue Ribbon label.
Yes.
That was really cool. I love wearing that shirt around the city
I,
because I
right?
give people all
It
the time
is
that have to
like,
do a double take.
it's my favorite shirt. It is, I think, our best design so
Mhm.
far. Honestly, I love my Reds shirt.
That one's a good one
I
too.
like
Yeah.
wearing that too, because a lot of people, the one that we're coming up with for St. Louis is going to be pretty good. It's going to be completely different
Yep.
from any other shirt if we can pull it off. It's a little more expensive, and again, we're a nonprofit. We can't, even a dollar extra for a shirt is difficult,
It's
right?
still, yeah, that's tight.
But
Yep.
if we pull it off, it's going to look amazing. I
That's
can't
cool.
wait. I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, even the Phoenix one was really cool where we did like the drawing contest, and
Hmm.
I think it was Quetzal
Yes,
Torres
Quetzal.
won that, and
Yes.
that's a great design.
Hmm.
I really enjoy, actually I'm wearing that shirt right now underneath my sweatshirt. But that's like another great design. Just stuff like that is that's I don't know, like it's a cool piece of swag to have and then to
Hmm.
wear throughout the years. I see myself like later on down the line actually taking all of those t-shirts because they're gonna get to a point where you're like, okay, like this isn't so much as wearable anymore, but being able to take
Hmm.
it and like turn it into like an Afghan, like some kind of big blanket with all of the designs on it, I think would be really cool.
Nice. Yeah.
Um,
And we have some very interesting swag for those people who bought their tickets early.
I'm
And
jealous.
you're
I
gonna
didn't.
see it. You're gonna be sad, but I want you to know that this year you can buy your tickets early for next year,
There you go.
so you can get on the swag train.
Yep. So yeah, so we got 3 meals, you got the t-shirts, there's some other swag that usually comes in there. And then to like just the time of being able to be there. Like there's just so many great
Hmm.
speakers that are coming in, so many great breakout sessions, and two, just time to just be like, I'm just gonna sit here in this lobby and I'm going to enjoy a beer or bourbon or a conversation with somebody. And
Yeah.
there you go. Like I love that
It's
part.
it's mind blowing how much we do not get that time just to sit by ourselves, even
Hmm.
if it's sitting with other dads, like you said, having something to eat, having something to drink, eating something where, one, you get to decide where, and two, you get to decide what you're going to eat,
Yeah.
and three, you don't have to share anything, and four, you don't have to cut up anybody else's food.
I just
But
remember
then,
for me, one
mhm,
of my most like memorable memories of recent home dad con was in Cincinnati. We had a great team there. I was, leading the charge on things. And at one point, I just needed a break. And Shannon Carpenter was like, dude, have you taken any time to just like sit down and just take all this in? And I'm like, nope. He's like, all right. He's like, what is the next like couple of hours look like for you? And I was like, looking through the schedule. I'm like, I guess I could kind of just sort of slink away for a little while around 2 o'clock or whatever. And he was like, great. Meet me in my hotel room. Like it was literally like right above like where we were meeting at, and went up there, and he had a bottle of scotch. He was like pours me a drink. He's like, sit down. And I'm like, this is awesome. We just chilled
Yeah.
and just had a chance to talk. And I was like, I'm so glad like I had somebody who just stepped out and was like, hey, I'm looking out for you. Like, come sit down here.
Hmm.
And there's lots of guys like that, of course. But he was the one that got to me first. So
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
so
Shannon's a great guy.
yeah, so just the ability to have those kind of moments where you're like, this is nice just to just sit and take a breath and not have to answer questions from little kids or even grown adults who are asking questions at the
Hmm.
convention and whatnot. So, um, yeah, taking time for yourself, make it as much of a vacation as you can is so important.
And one of the benefits that I think we really can't quantify in any way, there's no metric for this, but I have talked to more people, more dads in our organization who say that they have someone they met specifically because they went to the convention who is now their best friend.
Yeah.
Someone that they talk to regularly, weekly, if not daily, someone that they hang out with virtually, people on other opposite sides of the country, opposite sides of the world. And they say, this person has really changed my life. This is now the friend that I've always wished that I had. And I can't stress enough how important it is to go to the convention, to find your community,
Yep.
to find those people that just get you. Because in this job, but just as a father in general, we don't have the support. We don't have the major brands recognizing that we do anything other than, drop the ball. We don't have people that really get us. And going to the convention is where you get that.
Yeah, definitely. So that's coming up, and so hopefully, by hearing this, that motivates those who haven't gotten on the ball and gotten their stuff. That this will, propel you to that. But yeah, man, this has been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed it, and hopefully, I'll have some good news to share with the conversations that are coming up. Also, too, so keep in mind of this, like we talked about, like, don't do this alone. The hashtag no dad alone is a hashtag that our organization is partnering with Father's Eve, City Dads, and Fathering Together on to really get that out there. And that's the whole idea. Like no dad alone. Like it's important to have that community. So keep that in mind.
I think that doesn't start until Father's Day.
Does it?
Yeah, I think we're holding off on that. But it's fine. It's out there now.
I use it in the
But
hashtags with our stuff all the time. So
I saw that and I thought, huh. And yeah, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's honestly, it's going to be a big campaign.
it is.
It's great. And I love that Keith, as our president, has gotten out there and developed that with the other organizations, the leaders of the other organizations, and has put it together because we're all on the same journey, just on maybe different paths, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we absolutely need to be helping each other, boosting each other's signal. So
Yep.
no dad alone.
And also too, because it's coming up, Father's Eve. If you haven't had a chance to see that, go to fatherseve.com to see if you want to actually host one in your town. It's good to get it going now because it's a couple months off, and so it gives you time to sort of organize it without having to be in a rush to do so. But it can be honestly as simple as just inviting the guys in your neighborhood over who are dads for a cookout, and that's all it has to be.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. So that's on that website there, and we'll talk about that more as get closer to it because John Francis is a good friend of ours, and he's doing amazing things with that organization too. So, but anyway, before I start rambling down rabbit holes that get us into other conversations and make the show go longer, you all have a great week, and we'll talk to you next time.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.